Yeah. So when you're driving a car, your head is more or less between the wheels, yeah? When you're driving a bus, the wheels are here, and you're sitting over here. You're sitting outside of the wheelbase, yeah? The majority of the bus is behind you, whereas in a car, half of the car is in front of you, half the car is behind you. Here, the majority of the vehicle is behind you, yeah? Now, that means that when you steer, you have to steer quite late. You have to almost go past the corner and steer. It doesn't seem natural. The problem is, we've got this contradiction where your steering has to be done late, but your braking and your acceleration have to be done earlier than when you're driving a car, because the car's lighter, it's more responsive. With the weight of the bus, if you wanted to accelerate, you have to go on the gas earlier. If you want to brake, you have to brake earlier to brake smoothly. So what's happening in your brain is you've got this contradiction where you have to steer later but accelerate and brake earlier than you would when you're driving a car. It means you have to retune your brain, yeah? The other thing that's happening, which is quite obvious, is with your positioning, yeah? Now, when you're driving down the road, in your car, yeah? If that's your car, your head is about here, yeah? Now, if we remove the car and look at where your head is in space, your head is maybe a little bit closer to the white line, yeah? Maybe you've got 2/3 of the road on the left and 1/3 on the right, yeah? Usually your head's somewhere about here, yeah? So you're driving along, and your natural position for your head, your reference point where you view the road from is roughly along there, yeah? That's where your head is when you're driving down the road. In a bus, because the bus is that much wider, your reference point from where your head is more here, yeah? So now you have to be comfortable with almost driving with the white line going between your knees, because what happens is when you sit up, you're sitting quite high, the white line disappears underneath the dashboard, and the white line, you think you're over it, but you're not. The white line actually reappears in the mirror, and you think the bus is over the white line. It isn't. It's just because the dashboard is so high, yeah? But you've almost got to be comfortable almost sitting on that white line, and that feels very uncomfortable. And what happens is when you're coming under pressure, when you're coming under stress, yeah, the natural thing for you to do is to default to what you know. And as I said to you, in the car, your head's normally about here, yeah, or maybe about here. So what happens is, rather than your head being here when you're driving the bus, when you come under pressure, you want to go back to the same picture, the same view that you're used to, and you come to the left. And that means the bus now is going to be on the curb, yeah? But it's important to understand why this is happening. It's because of what we call it, your sighting, your view of the road. It has to change, yeah? When pilots learn to fly aircraft, because of where they sit at the very front of the aircraft, they have to be able to compensate for how wide the aircraft is and how long the aircraft is, yeah? Although when they roll the aircraft left and right, they're in what we call the roll center. When it comes to climbing or descending, they're right at the front of the aircraft, and they're quite far away from the pitch center, yeah? And here, you've got to compensate for the size of the vehicle and where you need to be in the road. So what you have to do now is forget about where you're used to being in your car, and your head now has to be used to sitting on the white line, yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah.